The morning my husband vanished with every dollar our daughter had saved for college, I thought the worst pain was betrayal, until my 12-year-old whispered a sentence that froze my blood. I am Evelyn Carter, a 55-year-old librarian in a quiet coastal town where secrets spread faster than wildfire. For most of my adult life, I believed I understood stability. I believed I understood loyalty. I believed I understood my husband. I was wrong on every front. The day everything fell apart began with an eerie silence, the kind that makes a woman's intuition flare like a warning siren. The sunlight filtering through our bedroom curtains felt colder than usual, as if it already knew what I was about to see. Daniel stood at the foot of our bed, tossing shirts into a worn leather suitcase. His movements were sharp, almost frantic, the way a man behaves when he knows if he hesitates for even a heartbeat, he will lose his nerve. The floor creaked under his shifting weight, but he never acknowledged me. Not a nod. Not a glance. Not a breath meant for me. Where are you going? I whispered, because anything louder felt like it would shatter me. He didn't pause. Didn't blink. Didn't soften. I am leaving, Evelyn. I should have done this years ago. Years ago. The words struck with the force of a hammer. 23 years of marriage reduced to a casual admission delivered without remorse. It felt like a blade sliding between my ribs. I was still in my robe, hair unbrushed, heart unarmored. Meanwhile, Daniel packed for freedom as if I were nothing more than background scenery. I stepped forward and grabbed his forearm. Look at me. Talk to me. Please. He pulled back with a coldness I had never witnessed. When he finally met my eyes, there was nothing human left in his expression. No grief. No hesitation. Just a hollow, merciless resolve. I am done pretending, he said. I need air. I need space. I need my own life. Is there someone else? The question escaped before I could stop it. He hesitated for half a breath, just long enough to confirm the truth, then zipped the suitcase with a final, ruthless motion. This is not about anyone. But I had noticed the late nights at work. The hidden phone I once glimpsed in his jacket. The sudden secrecy after decades of shared routines. Signs I ignored because confronting them meant admitting my life was disintegrating. My chest tightened. Where will you go? I will figure that out. He walked toward the door, voice flat. Transfer my half of our savings to my personal account by tonight. Something inside me cracked. When he left the room, I raced downstairs, heart pounding like a terrified drum. Our daughter, Lila, sat at the breakfast counter, spoon paused midair, eyes wide with concern. Mom? What's wrong? Nothing, sweetheart, I lied, the taste bitter. Dad just needs to go somewhere. I opened my laptop with trembling fingers. Each click felt like the countdown to an explosion. When the banking page loaded, the breath left my body entirely. The checking account showed barely over $200, the savings account, empty, the college fund Lila and I had nurtured for 12 years, gone. My vision blurred. My hands shook so hard the cursor danced uncontrollably across the screen. No. No, this can't be real. I checked the transaction history. One long string of transfers. All authorized under Daniel's name. All processed 3 days earlier. He took everything, I whispered, voice cracking like a dry leaf. Lila slid off her chair, stepping closer. Her face looked too young to witness this much devastation. Yet she did not panic. She simply watched, calm as still water. Mom, did he take my college money too? I tried to answer. Nothing came out. The truth felt like shards in my throat. I could only nod. Lila inhaled slowly, the way she always did before solving a difficult math problem. She placed her cereal bowl in the sink, rinsed it quietly, then dried her hands. Mom, she said softly, almost soothingly, don't worry. I already handled it. If anyone else had said something so bizarre, I would have dismissed it. But something about her tone, steady, measured, almost adult, carved a path of dread through my ribs. What do you mean, sweetheart? I asked. She slung her backpack over her shoulder. I will miss the bus if I explain now. After school, okay? And she walked out the door as if nothing in our world had just collapsed. The house felt cavernous once she left. Every room echoed his absence. His coffee mug still inside the dishwasher. His jacket draped over the chair. His ghost everywhere and nowhere. That entire week, grief clung to me like a shadow. But Lila moved through the days with unsettling composure. She woke at 7:15 each morning, prepared her lunch, tied her hair neatly, and kissed my cheek before school, as if our lives had not been gutted. Each night, I heard the rhythmic tapping of her keyboard through the walls until long past midnight. Not chaotic typing. Precise. Focused. Determined, the kind of typing that suggested a purpose far beyond homework. By Friday evening, my curiosity overwhelmed my fear. While putting her clean clothes away, I noticed a sheet of paper partially tucked beneath a notebook on her desk. Something about the formatting made my stomach twist. It was an email printout. At the top were two names, Daniel Carter and Melissa Grant. My husband and, apparently, his lover. My pulse thudded in my ears. I sank onto Lila's bed, my fingers trembling as I read lines about hotel reservations, secret weekend plans, and discussion about managing Evelyn when the time comes. I felt nauseous. Mom? Her voice startled me so violently I nearly dropped the paper. She stood at the doorway holding her empty snack bowl. No fear in her expression. No guilt. Just quiet observation, like she expected this moment. Where did you get this? I asked. Lila closed the bedroom door with slow intention. Dad needs better passwords. I could barely form the next question. How long have you known? About 6 weeks, she answered without hesitation. And I figured out the money situation the day before he left. 6 weeks. My 12-year-old had carried this truth alone while I lived inside a lie. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered. I needed to confirm everything, she said. And I needed to decide what to do. Her calmness terrified me more than Daniel's betrayal ever could. What, exactly did you do? She walked to her bed, reached beneath her pillow, and pulled out a spiral notebook. Inside were pages of handwritten notes, diagrams, access logs, financial details, and information so complex I could barely comprehend it. Dad thinks he is clever, she said. But he leaves clues everywhere. My world tilted. Lila, what have you been doing? She met my eyes, steady, fearless, far too grown for her age, protecting us. When Lila said she was protecting us, something inside me twisted, half awe, half dread. The child I tucked into bed with stuffed animals was nowhere in sight. In her place stood someone sharper, quieter, watching the world like a strategist, not a 12-year-old girl. Sit with me, Mom, she said, patting the bed beside her. I need to show you the rest. The room suddenly felt smaller. Even the walls seemed to lean in, as if they too were listening. I sat down slowly. My knees wobbled like I was walking across a rope bridge suspended over a canyon. She opened her spiral notebook again, flipping past pages filled with meticulous handwriting, color-coded lists, and diagrams that resembled the inside of an intelligence files. How did you even get access to all of this? I asked, unable to disguise the tremor in my voice. Lila shrugged, tucking her hair behind one ear. People repeat their passwords. Dad repeats everything. Bank login. Email login. Shopping apps. Even his second phone. The words hit me like cold water. Second phone? Yes, she said calmly. The one he used with Melissa. He kept it hidden in the pocket of his old hiking jacket. I saw him checking it when he thought I was asleep. Her tone carried no resentment. No fear. Just facts. Lila, that's not normal. What he did wasn't normal either, she replied. I had to stay ahead of him. I exhaled shakily. What exactly have you been doing? Lila opened her laptop, fingers gliding across keys with frightening confidence. The screen bloomed with folders, dozens of them, labeled things like expenditures timeline, identity concerns, correspondence mapping, risk profiles, and Melissa data. My stomach lurched. Sweetheart, I whispered, this is advanced. I know, she said softly. But I learned fast. I had to. She clicked on one folder filled with screenshots of financial accounts I did not recognize. These are credit applications Dad filed, she explained. Some were in his name. Some used her information. Some used mine. A chill wrapped around my spine. He used her identity? I whispered. He tried, she corrected gently. But I caught it early. I froze everything before the fraud progressed. Her voice was steady, but there was something underneath, something fierce and forged in fire. When did all this start? I whispered. The day I saw him transfer money late at night, she said. He thought I was asleep, but the hallway light was on. He looked panicked. Mom. Not guilty, panicked. That's when I knew something wasn't right. She moved to the next file. Bank statements appeared, dozens of transactions leading money into a hidden account under Daniel's name, then out toward a property escrow company in Florida. He was planning to move there with Melissa, Lila said. My heart constricted. Not because I wanted him back, but because the depth of his betrayal felt bottomless, like falling down a well with no walls to grasp. And the college fund? I whispered. That was the down payment. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from crying out. The betrayal was unimaginable. But Lila, my steady, uncanny child, sat beside me with the calmness of a chess player explaining a strategy. How did you even freeze accounts? Contact agencies? Fill reports? Tutorials, she said simply. Forums. Guides from digital safety groups. Everything is online if you know where to look. The pride that flickered in my chest unsettled me. It felt wrong to be impressed by something born from devastation. Mom, she said suddenly, laying her small hand on mine, I know you're upset. But you can't fall apart now. We have to stay ahead of him. Her hand was warm. Mine felt frozen. I didn't know you were carrying all this alone, I whispered. I didn't want to scare you. I pulled her into my arms then, tight, desperate, fierce. She let me hold her for a few seconds before easing back, already focused again. There's something else, she said. Something bigger. Her voice dropped to a near whisper. Melissa has been stealing from her clients for a long time. My breath caught. What? I tracked her financial movements. They don't match her declared income. She reroutes funds through shell accounts disguised as consulting fees. She clicked to another folder. I documented everything. Page after page displayed transactions, forged signatures, client ledgers with discrepancies highlighted in bright red. This is criminal, I gasped. So is stealing a child's identity, Lila replied. But I made sure the right people know about all of it now. I stared at her. You mean, you already? Yes, she said. I did. Silence flooded the room like rising water. Mom. Melissa got suspended yesterday. Clients pulled their accounts this morning. Her firm opened an internal investigation. And her father, he knows everything too. I blinked. Her father? He has influence. He protects his reputation. I sent him the evidence anonymously. The realization hit me like lightning. Lila, baby, you brought down 2 adults. They brought down themselves, she said. I had no response. My mind spiraled between horror and awe. Does Daniel know? I finally asked. He will, Lila said with stunning certainty. He's going to panic. Then he will call. When he does, let me handle it. Her unwavering tone sent a shiver through me. Sweetheart, you're only 12. And he's the one who stole from us, she said softly. Age doesn't change accountability. The room felt colder now. Or maybe I had finally realized the magnitude of what she had become, what pain had shaped her into. That night, after she went to bed, I sat alone in the living room with every light on. My hands trembled. My heartbeat felt too loud. I tried to process it all, but my thoughts tangled like knotted threads outside. Wind rattled the branches inside. My child typed steadily behind her closed door long after midnight. Exhaustion finally pulled me under, but at 2:15 in the morning, the ringing phone jolted me awake like a gunshot. Daniel's name flashed across the screen, exactly as she predicted. I froze for a moment, staring at the glowing display. heart pounding a frantic rhythm in my chest. Then, with a shaking hand, I answered. "Evelyn," he said, voice frantic, ragged, terrified. "Something is happening. I need help." Before I could respond, I heard footsteps behind me. Lila stood in the hallway, her face calm, her expression unreadable, her laptop tucked under her arm like a weapon she knew how to wield. She nodded once, put it on speaker. "Mom." Daniel's voice crackled through the speaker, thin and jagged, like a man drowning clutching at anything that could keep him afloat. "Evelyn, please, listen. My accounts are frozen. My emails are being accessed in real time. Someone is sending messages from my address. Someone is posting things I never wrote. I am being destroyed." Lila stepped closer, her bare feet silent against the hardwood floor. Her hair was still braided from earlier, though a few strands had fallen loose around her face, giving her a strangely composed yet battle-ready look. She opened her laptop without a sound. The glow illuminated her young features, but her eyes, those steady, calculating eyes, felt decades older. I swallowed hard. "Daniel, what exactly is happening?" "I don't know," he shouted. "My boss called. He got an email from my account with confidential attachments. Melissa's firm is under investigation. She thinks someone targeted her because of me. Someone is trying to ruin us. Us even now, even after abandoning me and our daughter, he still grouped himself with that woman." Something inside me twisted painfully but then solidified into cold clarity. "Daniel," I said quietly, "why would anyone want to ruin you?" "Because someone has access to everything." His breathing turned ragged. "My bank. My messages. My social accounts. My second phone. Even files I didn't know were stored in the cloud." Lila tapped a few keys. Multiple windows opened, data streams, timestamps, login alerts. She wasn't touching his accounts, she was merely observing the chain reaction he was experiencing, like a meteorologist predicting a storm she'd already mapped. Daniel continued, voice cracking, "They're leaking private conversations, documents, financial records. They're sending details of every mistake I ever made to people who should never see them." "Evelyn, I swear I didn't," Lila cut him off softly. "Dad." The line went silent. He must have recognized her voice instantly. "Lila? Sweetheart? Oh, thank God. Listen to me, there's a very serious situation happening to me and Melissa. Someone has orchestrated an entire attack." "It's not an attack," she said calmly. "It's accountability." I felt the air shift. Daniel stammered, what are you talking about?" Lila didn't blink. "You used my information for loans. You drained my college savings. You opened financial accounts with Mom's identity. You lied. You betrayed us. You abandoned us. What is happening now is simply the result of your own choices." "That's not fair," he said desperately. "You don't understand the context." "Explain it to me," Lila said, folding her arms. "I was going to pay it back," he insisted. "Melissa had an opportunity, an investment with guaranteed returns. We just needed the initial funds. I never meant to hurt you." She tilted her head. "But you did hurt me." "That wasn't the plan," he rasped. "Your plan," Lila replied, "was built on the assumption that you'd never get caught." A shaky breath echoed through the speaker. "How do you know all this?" "I've been watching," she said simply. He froze. I could hear it in the silence, a stunned realization that his 12-year-old daughter was not the naive child he had assumed she was. "You've been monitoring me?" he whispered. "Yes." "That's impossible." "No," she corrected, "it was surprisingly easy." He made a choked sound. "Lila, please. I'm begging you. Stop whoever you hired. Tell them to reverse this. I have nothing left. I'm living in my car. Melissa won't answer me. My reputation is destroyed. My job is gone. I can't." Lila tapped another key. A soft notification ping echoed faintly through his end of the call. Daniel stopped mid-sentence. "What was that?" "You just received another alert," she said. Your last remaining credit card has been shut down for suspicious activity. His breathing accelerated into frantic, terrified gasps. Lila, please, please, I can't survive this. Tell me what you want. She didn't hesitate. I want the truth. I already told you, no, she said more firmly. The truth. Not the version you rehearsed for Melissa. Not the excuses you fed to yourself. Tell me why you stole from me. I felt my pulse quicken. She was pushing him into a corner, demanding what I had been too broken to ask for. Daniel's voice was small. I didn't think you'd ever find out. That's it? Lila asked. Cowardice? It was desperation, he pleaded. I felt trapped. You trapped yourself, she replied. A beat of silence passed, then she said words that carved the room into stone. You didn't steal the money because you needed it. You stole it because you thought I didn't matter. Daniel whimpered. Actually whimpered. The sound was worse than shouting, worse than any fury I had imagined. It was the sound of a man forced to face the ugliest reflection of himself. Lila, sweetheart. I love you. No, she said softly. You love the version of me that doesn't hold you accountable. I covered my mouth with both hands. Tears prickled my eyes, but they weren't solely sadness. They were recognition. Relief. Awakening. Daniel whispered, what do you want me to do? Stop calling, Lila answered. Stop pretending. Stop trying to climb out of consequences you created. Live the life you chose. He inhaled sharply. Please. Please don't. Lila ended the call, just pressed the button. Clean. Definitive. Done. The silence afterward felt electric, charged with a strange mixture of liberation and dread. I stared at her, unable to speak. She closed her laptop with a soft click. He won't call again. How can you be so sure? I whispered, because he finally understands that every time he makes a move, I will see it, she said. And for the first time in his life, he is afraid of his daughter. I sank onto the couch, overwhelmed. Sweetheart. I don't know whether to be proud or terrified. Lila sat beside me and leaned her head gently against my shoulder, a reminder that despite everything she had done, everything she had become, she was still my child. You don't have to choose, she murmured. You can be both. The honesty in her words cut deep. Mom? Yes, honey? I don't regret what I did, she said. But I need you to stay strong now. Because the next part is going to be even harder. My breath caught. The next part? She exhaled slowly, like someone preparing to open a door no one else wants to touch. I think Melissa is going to fight back. For the rest of the night, I barely slept. Every shadow felt threatening, every creak in the walls made me flinch. The idea of Melissa fighting back gnawed at my nerves like a slow-burning ember. I was a 55-year-old woman who had spent most of her life shelving books and believing in stability. I was not built for cyber warfare, emotional manipulation, or the quiet terror of retaliation, but Lila was. She faced the idea without blinking, as if she'd been preparing for this chapter all along. The next morning, I woke to the smell of pancakes. Lila stood at the stove wearing her oversized hoodie, flipping breakfast like it was any ordinary day. You're calm, I murmured, rubbing my temples. She poured syrup with a steady hand. We can't panic, Mom. Panic makes people sloppy. I sat at the table, feeling more like the child than the parent. What do you mean Melissa will fight back? She's cornered, Lila said matter-of-factly. People who lose control of their narrative go into desperation mode. And desperate adults are unpredictable. Her tone was clinical, almost frighteningly so, but how would she even know where we are? I whispered, she won't, Lila assured me. But she will try to identify who exposed her. When criminals feel threatened, they look for patterns. Weak spots. Loose threads. My heart tightened. Are you sure we're safe? For now, she said, for now. 2 words that clung to my spine like frost. Around noon, while I was sorting returns at the library, my phone buzzed with a blocked number. Normally, I would have ignored it. But after everything that had happened, dread forced me to answer, "Hello?" Silence, then a low, controlled voice. Feminine. Cold enough to crystallize air. "You think you're clever." I froze mid-step. "Who is this?" "You know exactly who I am." "Melissa," her name echoed inside my skull like thunder. "I don't know what you're talking about," I lied, glancing around the library instinctively. But of course she wasn't here. People like her didn't confront you face to face. They attacked through shadows and whispers. "You ruined my life," she hissed. "You have no idea what you've done." I swallowed hard. "Whatever is happening to you has nothing to do with me." "Oh, Evelyn," she said softly. "You're not nearly as innocent as you pretend." My fingertips went numb. "I know it's you," she whispered. "Or someone connected to you. Daniel told me everything." Of course he did. Daniel would sell anyone out to protect himself, or at least the version of himself he believed he deserved to be. I took a breath. "Leave my family alone." "You took everything from me," she snapped. "My job. My livelihood. My home. Do you expect me to walk away?" Fear pricked across my skin. "Whatever you think, I think," she interrupted, "that people who attack me should be prepared for consequences." And then she hung up. The dial tone rang like a siren. I drove home in a haze, heart pounding so loudly I barely heard traffic. Lila was already sitting at the kitchen table when I burst through the door, her laptop open, her eyes sharp. "You look pale," she noted. "She called," I said, voice cracking. Lila closed her laptop slowly. "Melissa?" "Yes." "What did she say?" I repeated every word, my hands shaking as if I were holding ice. Lila nodded once, calmly. Too calmly. "I expected that." "You expected, Lila, she threatened us." "No," she corrected. "She bluffed. It's a tactic. She wants you off balance." I leaned against the counter, struggling to breathe. "Sweetheart, this isn't a game." "I know that," she said. "Which is why we need to be smarter than ever." Her certainty terrified me even more than Melissa's threats. What if she comes here? What if she finds us? She won't. Lila opened her laptop again. "But we still need to prepare." "Prepare how?" Lila's fingers danced across the keys. "By staying ahead of her." Her voice had the eerie calmness of someone planning a defense strategy, not a child deciding how to spend a weekend. "Look, Mom," she said, turning her screen slightly, "Melissa is searching for leaks in her life. She's trying to identify who shared the evidence. She is combing emails, logs, sequences, any weak point she can exploit." "And how do you know that?" I asked, dread curling under my ribs. "Because I can see her digital footprint." I pressed a hand to my forehead. "Lila, sweetheart, this is too much." "No," she said firmly. "This is necessary." "But why do you have to do this? Why can't we?" "I don't know. Call someone? The police? A lawyer?" "They won't protect us from her," Lila said. "Not from obsession. Not from retaliation. Not from someone who thinks they've been wronged." Her voice trembled at that last word, and for the first time, I realized she was afraid too. That evening, clouds rolled across the horizon like bruised skin. Rain tapped softly on the windows. Lila sat on the floor surrounded by scattered notes, folders, and printed documents. Her small frame was hunched with focus. "Mom," she said suddenly. "Come sit." I lowered myself beside her, knees aching. "I need to explain something." Her eyes lifted to mine, serious, reflective. "Far too old. Melissa isn't just after revenge," she said. "She's trying to protect her ego. People like her don't tolerate exposure. They rebuild their power by destroying the person who threatened it." I felt a chill crawl across my shoulders, and because Dad told her about us, Lila added, "She will assume we're involved." I gripped her hand. "Does she know where we live?" "No," Lila said, "but she knows our town." "That's close enough." A bolt of panic sliced through me. "We need to move." "We can't," she said simply. "Running makes us look guilty." And it encourages pursuit. Then what do? We stand our ground. Her voice didn't waver. You're 12, I whispered. You shouldn't have to stand your ground against a criminal. I won't be 12 forever, she said. But she will always be dangerous. The weight of her words pressed into the room like gravity. Later that night, while I folded laundry with trembling hands, Lila approached quietly. Mom? Yes? There's something I haven't told you yet. Fear twisted inside me again. What is it? She hesitated, rare for her. I think Melissa already reached out to Dad again. My breath stopped. How do you know? Lila pulled her laptop closer, tapping a few swift commands. Because his phone pinged twice today, she explained. Once near a motel. Once near a storage facility. And the timing matches messages she sent. I sank into a chair. Why would she contact him now? Because she wants something, Lila murmured. Something she thinks he can give her. What could he possibly have left? Lila looked up at me, expression darkening us. I felt the room tilt, as if the floor had shifted beneath my feet. Us? I whispered, though the words scraped my throat like splinters. Why would Melissa want anything to do with us? Lila closed her laptop gently, almost tenderly, the way a surgeon might close a case before delivering a diagnosis. Because she needs a scapegoat, she said. Someone to blame publicly. Someone to point at when the consequences close in on her. I gripped the back of a chair. But Daniel told her everything. Doesn't that mean she'd blame him? She knows he's weak, Lila replied. Weak people make poor scapegoats. Their stories crumble. Their voices shake. They confess too easily. The implication made my stomach drop. You think she wants credibility, I murmured. She wants a villain, Lila corrected. Not a collapsed man living out of his car. Fear spread through my limbs like cold water flooding an abandoned house. So she wants to paint us as the ones who exposed her? Lila nodded slowly. If she controls the narrative, she controls the damage. My heartbeat became a steady, painful drumbeat in my ears. Honey, what if she actually comes here? What if she tries to confront us face to face? She won't risk that, Lila said. She's too proud to show desperation in person. But she might try something else. Like what? Intimidation. Manipulation. Anonymous messages. Maybe even contacting people in this town. She'll want to isolate us before she decides how to retaliate. A wave of nausea rose in my chest. We can't just sit here and wait. We're not waiting, Lila said, standing with deliberate calm. We're preparing. That evening, rain hammered the windows like a warning drum. I tried to focus on dinner, but every sound outside made my nerves jolt. A car passing. Branches scraping. Distant thunder. Everything sounded like trouble approaching. Lila sat at the table, eating slowly, reading something on her tablet. Her posture was unnervingly relaxed. You're too calm, I said, unable to hide the tremor in my voice. I can't afford to panic, she replied. One of us has to stay steady. Her maturity scared me more than anything Melissa had threatened. Sweetheart, I said gently, you're carrying too much. It's not your job to protect us. Lila met my gaze, steady, clear, glowing with an intelligence that seemed carved from fire and pain. Mom, he chose her. He chose the easy lie. He chose the selfish path. So I choose us. I choose the truth. That makes this my job, whether I wanted it or not. Her voice didn't crack. Mine nearly did. After dinner, she spread papers across the living room floor again. Notes. Timelines. Email logs. Patterns she'd identified in Melissa's behavior. What's all this? I asked. Her weaknesses, Lila said. I blinked. Her what? Everyone has them, she continued. Even the smartest criminals. Melissa's ego blinds her. She thinks she's untouchable because she understands systems and people. But she doesn't understand accountability. Lila tapped her pen against a printed screenshot. She made a mistake, she said. She underestimates consequences. She overestimates her own intelligence. She doesn't realize how much I found. And how much did you find? I asked quietly. Lila hesitated. Enough silence passed to make my pulse stumble. A lot, she finally answered. More than I can tell you yet. Fear throbbed through me. Why can't you tell me? Because once you know, you can't unknow it, she said. And I don't want you to carry what I'm carrying. Those words nearly broke me. I knelt beside her and cupped her cheeks gently. Lila, you shouldn't carry any of this. She placed her tiny hand over mine, her expression softening for the first time all day. Mom, I'm not fragile. I'm aware. And awareness is power. But you're 12, I whispered, tears burning behind my eyes. Age isn't protection, she answered quietly. Remember that. Around 9, my phone buzzed again from an unknown number. Lila motioned for me to hand it to her. She answered on speaker. A distorted voice, clearly manipulated, slithered through the line. You think you're safe. My blood ran cold. You think you're hidden. Lila didn't flinch. You're not. Lila spoke calmly. Melissa, using voice filters won't hide you from digital forensics. A pause, then a low, mocking laugh. So it is you, Melissa purred. The child prodigy with a savior complex. My body locked in place. Lila replied, and you're the adult who stole from vulnerable clients, falsified documents, and manipulated my father. A sharp inhale crackled across the phone. You little, everything I uncovered, Lila continued, was already in your own files. You left the trail yourself. I just followed it. You don't know what you've done, Melissa snarled. You think this is justice? You're playing a dangerous game. It's only dangerous, Lila said, for people who created the danger. The line went silent. Then Melissa whispered, I can ruin both of you. No, Lila replied, you already ruined yourself. And she hung up. I collapsed onto the couch, heart hammering. She knows it's us. She suspected, Lila corrected. Now she's sure. Honey, that doesn't make this better. I'm aware. Then why do you look like you expected this? Because I did, she said. Lila, she's angry. She's unstable. What if she comes here? What if she digs deeper? What if she finds a way to frame us? Lila looked down at her hands for a moment before answering. She already tried. My breath caught. What? She attempted to plant evidence, Lila said. Files meant to make us look guilty. She sent them through a spoofed source and tried to trace them back to our IP. Terror shot through me. Did it work? No, she said simply. I blocked it. Blocked it? How? She closed her laptop, eyes dark with a kind of weary determination that shouldn't belong to a child. Because she's predictable, Lila said. And I prepared for this weeks ago. But sweetheart, I whispered, how long have you been planning for something like this? Lila held my gaze. Then, in a soft, devastating voice, she said, since the night I saw Dad empty my college account. Her words stabbed through me. I reached for her, pulling her into my arms. She let me hold her, this time longer than before. Mom, she murmured into my shoulder, we're not done yet. What do you mean? She looked up, eyes burning with a fierce, almost chilling clarity. Melissa isn't trying to destroy us because we exposed her. She paused. She's trying to destroy us because we're the only loose ends she can't control. I barely recognized my own heartbeat anymore. It pulsed too fast, too loud, as if it were trying to outrun the truth. Loose ends. That was what Lila called us. She said it with the same calm honesty she used when reminding me to buy dish soap, and yet the words carved across my chest like a blade. Baby, I whispered, what exactly does that mean? Lila sat cross-legged on the living room rug, the glow from her laptop painting sharp angles across her young face. Her ponytail had loosened into messy strands, but her expression remained unnervingly steady. It means, she said, that Melissa doesn't know how much I uncovered. And people like her fear what they can't measure. I sank into the armchair, legs trembling. So she's trying to erase us? Lila nodded. She wants total narrative control. If she silences us, she controls the story again. My stomach twisted. Honey, she's dangerous. So am I, Lila replied quietly. Her words scared me, not because they were untrue, but because of how effortlessly she said them. As if she'd accepted that truth long before I even realized it existed. Later that night, the house felt too still. The kind of stillness that signals a storm, not peace. I went to make tea, hoping the familiar act would calm my shaking hands, but each creak of the floor made me flinch. Lila watched me from the kitchen table. Mom, you're trembling. I'm scared, I admitted. For us. For you. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand, her tiny fingers warm and grounding. Fear is normal, she said. But we can't let it steer us. I'm your mother, I whispered. I'm supposed to protect you. You are protecting me, she said, eyes softening. By trusting me. Trusting her felt like balancing on a tightrope, every step terrifying, every breath a gamble. Around 10, the power flickered. Just once. A tiny pulse. But enough to send my anxiety spiraling. Is that her? I asked, voice barely audible. Lila checked the breaker panel remotely on her tablet. No. It's weather. The system shows a brief surge. I exhaled shakily. Every little thing now felt like a threat. And Melissa's earlier call replayed in my head like a relentless echo. You think you're hidden, but we weren't. Not really, and somewhere out there was a woman with nothing left to lose. At midnight, Lila's phone buzzed. She picked it up, frowned, then handed it to me. The message was from an unknown number. A single sentence. Your daughter is meddling in things far beyond her depth. My breath seized. She has your number? No, Lila said calmly, she has a service that masks outgoing identities. It's a scare tactic. But how does she know? She doesn't know anything, Lila said. She's guessing. Trying to hit nerves. Well, she succeeded, I whispered. Lila took the phone back and typed a response before I could stop her. Sweetheart, what are you doing? Taking power away from her. The message she sent was simple, we're not afraid of you. I gasped. Lila. She shrugged gently. Bullies thrive on fear. If she thinks she can intimidate us, she'll escalate. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. She'll escalate either way, Lila said. People like her always do. Her certainty chilled me. The next morning, I walked outside to pick up the mail. The air was crisp, but a knot formed in my stomach the instant I saw the small envelope tucked under the welcome mat.no postage. No return address. My hands shook as I picked it up. Inside was a single printed photo. My house, taken from the street, taken recently. I staggered back. Lila appeared behind me instantly. What's wrong? I handed her the picture with trembling fingers. Her jaw tightened, not with fear, but with something sharper. Calculation. Strategy. Resolve. She was here, I whispered. She wants you to think that, Lila said. But this angle? It's from a public sidewalk. Anyone could take this. Lila, Mom, she said gently, she is manipulating the obvious. I swallowed hard. It worked. She slipped the photo into her binder, treating it like evidence instead of a threat. Good. The more she reveals her methods, the more predictable she becomes. Her ability to turn fear into logic both comforted and frightened me. Hours later, while I folded laundry in the living room, my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't a blocked number. It was a familiar one. Daniel. My body went rigid. I looked at Lila, who was already watching me. Put it on speaker, she said calmly. My throat tightened. I answered. Daniel's voice burst out, panicked and breathless. Evelyn, you need to listen. Melissa is losing it. She thinks you're behind everything. She thinks you and Lila are trying to destroy her. We're not doing anything, I said. She doesn't believe that. Daniel cried. She said she's going to finish this. She left in the middle of the night. She took her father's old handgun. My vision blurred. Gun, she won't come here, Lila whispered firmly. Mom. Look at me. But Daniel wasn't finished. She's unstable, Evelyn. She said she'd rather wipe out the threat than let anyone testify. Please, you need to get out of the house. She's on a warpath. I think she might. The line cut, just silence, and I realized Daniel wasn't calling from safety, he was calling in terror. Lila closed her eyes for a moment, breathing evenly, controlling the fear that would shatter most adults. Mom, she said gently, we need to stay calm. Calm? I whispered. She has a gun, Lila. She might come here. Mom. Lila placed both hands on my cheeks, steadying me. Listen. Her voice became low, focused, chillingly certain. She's unraveling. And people who unravel don't think clearly. But they do follow patterns. What patterns? I asked, voice cracking. The ones they've used their whole lives. She opened her laptop again and pulled up a map of the town. She won't come through the front, Lila said. She'll circle first. She'll watch. She'll wait until she thinks you're alone. She'll assume night gives her the advantage. I felt dizzy. How do you know this? Because she always acts from fear, Lila said. And fear makes predators predictable. She touched the edge of the printed photo, the one left at our door. She's already shown us how she thinks. My heart hammered violently. What do we do? Lila finally looked at me, not as a daughter seeking comfort, but as a strategist offering a plan. We prepare, she said. We stay inside. We stay together. And we make sure she can't twist this into her story. My hands were ice cold. How? Lila shut the laptop and stood tall, far taller than 12 years should allow, because now, she said, we control the narrative. The rest of the afternoon felt like wading through a fog of panic. I kept replaying Daniel's voice in my mind, broken, desperate, terrified. I could almost see him pacing in the dark somewhere, his life collapsing in slow motion. And even though anger still lived inside me like a bruise that hadn't healed, fear for Lila eclipsed everything else. A woman with a gun, a woman who believed we were her enemies, a woman with nothing left to lose. The storm outside strengthened, clouds stacking over each other like angry waves. Wind rattled the windows, and the fading light made our home feel smaller, almost claustrophobic. I closed the blinds even though it was barely evening. Lila sat in her usual spot on the living room rug, but her posture had changed. She wasn't leaning toward her laptop anymore. She wasn't in information mode. She was in defense mode, her back straight, her breathing slow, her eyes unblinking. Lila, I said softly, we should go somewhere safe. She shook her head without looking up. No. Leaving creates more risk. Movement is harder to monitor. But what if she comes here? She won't make a direct move yet. How can you be sure? Because she's still trying to destabilize us first. Lila tilted her head slightly, analyzing something unseen. People like her always want to soften the ground before they strike. They use fear as a primer. A shiver ran through me. So you're saying this isn't the attack yet? It's the setup, Lila replied. I grabbed my own elbows to steady myself. Honey, I don't want you involved in any of this anymore. Let me handle it from here. Lila finally lifted her eyes to mine. Mom, you can't negotiate with someone who sees accountability as betrayal. Her words were quiet. Devastatingly rational. Older than both of us put together. But you're a child, I whispered, and she's a criminal, Lila answered. That's why I can't back down. Her conviction terrified me. But I knew she was right about one thing. Melissa didn't negotiate. She controlled. Manipulated. Consumed. The storm outside cracked, a sharp snap of thunder rolling through the walls. Lila glanced toward the sound. We don't have much time. Time for what? I asked, heart pounding, to get ahead of her next move. For the next hour, Lila circled our house like a small, determined sentinel. She checked windows, evaluated angles, noted blind spots. She recorded audio levels in different rooms, measured the timing of passing cars, and mapped our entire floor plan on her tablet. "Sweetheart, you're scaring me," I said. "I'm protecting us," she replied without pausing. When she finished, she dragged 2 chairs to the hallway, one for me, one for herself. "This is the safest spot," she said. "Minimal line of sight from outside. No windows." I sat down obediently, trying to ignore the shaking in my hands. She settled into her chair, crossing her ankles neatly as if she were waiting for a school counselor instead of preparing for an unpredictable threat. "Now we wait," she said. "For what?" "For her next mistake." Minutes blurred, the house groaned under the wind, the refrigerator hummed. My breath grew shallow. Then, Lila's phone buzzed. The single notification. She checked it and exhaled through her nose. "There it is." "There what is?" I asked. "The shift," she said. "When fear turns into impulse." She handed the phone to me. An email from a burner account. Subject line: "Your daughter is not as hidden as she thinks." The body of the email was just one sentence: "Predators should be leashed before they bite." My entire body went cold. "She's provoking you," Lila said calmly. "And she's revealing something else unintentionally." "What?" Lila pointed at a line near the bottom. "IP masking glitch. She sent that in a hurry." I stared, not understanding. "It shows her approximate location," Lila explained. "She's within our county. Probably less than 10 miles. My breath froze in my throat. "Lila, this is escalating too fast." "Yes," she agreed. "Which means she's slipping. How do we make her stop?" I whispered. "We don't," Lila said. "We let her reveal just enough of herself to ensure she can't twist the story anymore." "How do we do that?" "By controlling every variable she doesn't know she's showing us." Her confidence had no business belonging to a 12-year-old, yet she wielded it with frightening precision. Half an hour later, another notification came in, this time on my phone. A voicemail from Daniel. My hand shook as I pressed play. His voice was hoarse, strained, rushed. "Evelyn, I tried to warn you. She's convinced you ruined her career. She's convinced Lila targeted her on purpose. She's not thinking clearly. She told me she wants to end unfinished business. Please, take Lila and leave. She won't stop, she won't." The message cut abruptly, leaving a hollow ringing in the quiet hall. I looked at Lila with terror rising in my throat. "She's coming here. Honey, we need to go." Lila shook her head with eerie calm. "Not until we finish this." "Lila. She has a gun." "Yes," she said. "Which means she's desperate. And desperate people are loud, not strategic. She'll expose herself before she reaches our door." My voice trembled. "How can you possibly know that?" Lila met my gaze with a composure that broke my heart, because when people lose control, they show their patterns. "And what pattern do you see?" I whispered. "She obsesses," Lila said. "She spirals. She doubles down. She's been repeating the same cycle since the moment I exposed her." "So what's next?" I asked. "She'll reach out again," Lila said. "Something careless. Something impulsive. Something incriminating." As if summoned by her prediction, both our phones lit up simultaneously. A new message, same burner, same frantic tone. This one contained a photo. Of Lila walking home from school, taken from several yards behind her, taken without her knowledge. A strangled breath slipped from my lungs. "Oh God, Lila," she stared at the photo with a strange sadness, not fear, not shock, but disappointment. "She's playing her last card," Lila murmured. "The threat tactic." "Honey, this isn't a tactic, she's stalking you." Lila nodded slowly. "Yes. And now we have proof." Her eyes lifted to mine, filled with calm fire. "Mom, this is what I needed. Undeniable evidence." I blinked through my panic. "Evidence for what?" "For when we report her." I stared at her. "We're going to the police?" "We are," she said. "But we're doing it smart." "How?" "We wait for exactly one more message," Lila said. "She's too frantic to stay quiet now. She'll send something reckless. Something threatening. Something she can't explain away." "But why wait?" Because once she crosses one more line, Lila said, she can't twist anything anymore. I swallowed, and then? Lila reached out and held my hand, squeezing once, firm, steady, grounding, and then, Mom, she said, we end her story before she ends ours. I didn't move for several seconds. Neither did Lila. We sat frozen, staring at the threatening photograph glowing on our screens. The storm outside thickened into a violent chorus, wind slammed against the house like an unwelcome warning. The photo was unmistakably recent, Lila in her school uniform, backpack slung over one shoulder, walking along the sidewalk, completely unaware someone had been stalking her from behind. My heart felt like it was trying to claw its way out of my chest. Lila, I whispered, voice shaking, we can't wait anymore. We have to call the police. Right now. She shook her head slowly, eyes locked on the photo with eerie concentration. Not yet. What do you mean not yet? She followed you. She took this while standing behind you. She's escalating. Lila turned to me with heartbreaking calm. She's escalating because she's losing. My voice trembled. Honey, this is not a game. It's not, she agreed softly. It's evidence. I stared at her, unable to reconcile the child I raised with the strategist sitting across from me. She wasn't scared. She wasn't overwhelmed. She was analyzing the danger like a surgeon diagnosing a rare disease. Mom, she said, her voice gentling, she wants you to panic. She wants us to run. Running confirms guilt. Panic proves vulnerability. And then she owns the narrative. I pressed my hands against my face. This is too much for you. She reached out and took my wrists gently. It's too much for you. That's why I'm doing this. Tears burned behind my eyes. Sweetheart, you shouldn't have to. She released my wrists and returned her attention to her screen. Look. She zoomed into the corner of the photo. A vehicle. Only the bumper, but clear enough to identify a partial plate. See that, she said. She's sloppy now. Can we use that? Yes, Lila replied. And we will. But I need her to reveal one more thing. What? I asked, barely breathing. Intent, she said. The more explicit, the better. Before I could respond, another notification chimed. Both our phones lit up again. A new message, another burner, same desperate tone. This one was worse. You can't hide her forever. I gasped. Lila, this is enough. We go to the authorities now. She shook her head. One more. She's fraying. When people like her unravel, they spiral to extremes. She's seconds away from exposing herself fully. Lila, please. But she held up one hand. Mom. Trust me. My heart cracked. Because I did trust her. More than I trusted myself. More than I trusted the broken systems meant to protect us. But trusting her meant accepting the terrifying truth that my 12-year-old daughter understood danger in ways I never had. Silence settled thick and heavy around us. The storm roared, wind howled, and we waited. My pulse beat in my ears like a desperate drum. 10 tense minutes passed. Then, a long, shrill chime shattered the quiet. Another message. Lila opened it instantly. Her face changed. Not into fear, not into shock, but into something dark and fierce. Mom, she whispered. We have it. What is it? I asked, leaning over her shoulder. The message wasn't just threatening. It was incriminating. If she comes near me again, I won't hesitate. I know how to get rid of problems. A photo followed the text, the same handgun Daniel mentioned in his voicemail, held in a manicured hand with blood-red nails. Melissa's nails. My entire body went ice cold. Lila looked at me with grim certainty. That's intent. I felt my throat close. We take this to the police. Yes, Lila said, already typing. But we do it with everything. Everything? She began dragging files, photos, timestamps, call logs, metadata, and evidence into a sealed folder. Everything Melissa sent. Everything she tried to hide. Everything Dad erased. Every threat. Every time she stalked me. I stared at her in awe and horror. You planned this. I prepared for it, she corrected softly, then she paused. Mom. I need you to do something for me. What is it? I need you to stay steady while I talk to the police. I blinked. Honey, I can explain. No, she interrupted gently. They won't listen to a crying mother. They'll listen to a calm daughter with proof. Panic closes doors. Logic opens them. A lump rose in my throat. You shouldn't be the one doing this. She looked at me, really looked at me. Neither should you, she whispered. But one of us has to. I cupped her cheek. I'm so proud of you. She rested her forehead against mine. I'm doing this because you deserve safety. You deserve peace. And you deserve a childhood, I murmured. Her eyes shimmered, but her voice stayed steady. Later. I'll earn it back later. Within minutes, she had everything compiled. She even created a timeline so meticulous it looked like something built by a full investigative team. Okay, she said, closing her laptop. We go now. To the police station? Yes. But what if Melissa is out there? Lila slipped her small hand into mine. Then we get there before she makes her next mistake. As we grabbed our coats, I felt something shift inside me, not fear, not dread, not helplessness, purpose. Lila wasn't dragging me through chaos. She was leading us out of it. We stepped outside into the storm. The wind whipped at our clothes. The night was heavy and alive with danger, but Lila looked forward with unshakable clarity. Mom, she said quietly, once we report her, everything changes. I squeezed her hand. For better or worse? For truth, she answered, and truth, she added softly, always wins in the end. We walked to the car. I started the engine. My hand shook on the steering wheel, but Lila placed her palm over mine, steadying me. We're doing the right thing, she said. I nodded, but as I backed out of the driveway, headlights flared down the street behind us. A car, slow, deliberate, creeping closer. My stomach dropped. Lila, I whispered. She turned her head slightly, eyes narrowing, voice steady. Don't worry, Mom. She looked straight at the approaching vehicle. She's early. The car behind us rolled forward with the slow confidence of someone who believed the night belonged to them. The headlights glared through the rain like two furious eyes. I felt my grip tighten around the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Mom, Lila murmured, don't speed up. My breath hitched. She's right behind us. I know. We need to get away from her. We are, Lila said, voice steady. But not by running. Running makes us look reckless. We drive normally. We stay calm. We go straight to the station. Lightning snapped across the sky, illuminating the wet pavement in a brief flash. The car behind us didn't move closer, but it didn't fall back either. It hovered in that chilling middle ground predators use when they stalk prey before deciding how to strike. Sweetheart, I whispered, I'm terrified. Lila reached over and placed her hand on my arm. I know. But fear doesn't get to choose our next move. Her voice anchored something inside me, like a rope thrown across a chasm. I inhaled shakily and forced myself to focus on the road ahead. The police station was 8 miles away. 8 long, wet, dangerous miles. The wipers thrashed back and forth as rain pelted the windshield. A clap of thunder vibrated through the car. Lila leaned slightly toward the window, assessing, analyzing, deciphering patterns I couldn't see. She's trying to intimidate us, Lila said quietly. This is psychological staging. She wants us unbalanced before she acts. Is that good for us? I asked. It's predictable, Lila answered. Predictable is manageable. My pulse hammered in my ears. What if she tries to run us off the road? She won't. Not yet. She needs deniability. She wants to scare you into doing something stupid, so she can blame you later. The calmness in her voice contrasted so sharply with the storm ripping apart the sky that I almost forgot she was 12. We reached a traffic light. IT turned yellow, then red. I eased the car to a stop. The vehicle behind us stopped too abruptly, too close. The headlights glowed through the rearview mirror, bleaching Lila's small face in white. She didn't flinch. Mom, she said softly, don't look scared. How am I supposed to do that? She lifted her chin. Pretend she's no one. The way she said it made my stomach tighten, because I knew she meant more than just Melissa being irrelevant. She meant, pretend she has no power. I straightened my spine, forcing my shoulders back, lifting my chin just enough that if Melissa was watching, she would see something unexpected, defiance, not fear. Lila nodded approvingly. Exactly. The light turned green. I drove forward, the car followed, the rain intensified, pounding on the roof like 1,000 fists. The road ahead grew blurry, smeared with water and shaking branches. Wind pushed the car sideways, and I gripped the wheel tighter. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in the cup holder. A new message from an unknown number. Lila snatched the phone first, her eyes narrowed as she read it. What is it? I asked. She took a breath. Proof. She turned the screen toward me. A text from Melissa. You're not getting to the station. My heart slammed against my ribs. She knows where we're going. She guessed, Lila corrected. Everyone goes to the authorities eventually. She expected this. But how does she know we're on the road? She's watching, Lila said. She's probably close enough to see the shape of our car through the storm. That realization made my blood run cold. We turned onto Cedar Ridge Road, a long, isolated stretch cutting through a wooded area. Wind howled between the trees, bending branches toward the ground. The rain blurred into streaks across the windshield. Lila. I don't like this road. It's the only direct route, she reminded. Stay steady. I tried. I really did. But my mind wouldn't stop replaying the photo of her walking home from school, unaware of the eyes on her back. What if she's not alone? I whispered. Lila shook her head. She won't involve anyone else. She doesn't trust people. That's one of her weaknesses. And her gun? Fear prop. But she sent us a photo of it. Yes, Lila said. To give it power. The car behind us drew slightly closer, not dangerously close but closer. Lila, I whispered, she's speeding up. I know. What do we do? We let her, Lila said. She's building courage. People get sloppy when they think victory is guaranteed. That doesn't comfort me. It should. My breath trembled. Honey, if anything happens, Lila cut me off with a gentle squeeze of my arm. Mom. Nothing is happening to us tonight. But her steady voice couldn't stop the shaking in mine. The road twisted left. A gust of wind shoved the car slightly. The vehicle behind us mimicked every move, like a ghost in the mirror. Then, headlights flashed once, twice, 3 times. A signal. Or a warning. Or a threat. Lila, I breathed, she's sending some sort of message. She's preparing herself. She's trying to psych herself up, Lila said. The next step will be bolder. What do you mean? Lila tilted her head, listening to something beyond sound, reading patterns, anticipating danger. She's about to make contact. What kind of contact? Lila didn't answer, because she didn't have to. A sudden, sharp impact rocked the back of our car. I screamed, Mom. Lila grabbed the dashboard. Don't brake. Another hit. Harder. The car skidded slightly on the wet pavement. She's trying to push us. I cried. She's trying to run us off. No. Lila yelled. She's testing your reaction. Hold the wheel steady. I fought the instinct to slam the brakes. Instead, I straightened the wheel and kept driving, heart exploding inside my chest. She's losing control, Lila said. She's panicking. A third hit harder. The tire screeched. I nearly lost control. Lila. Mom, listen to me. Her voice sliced through the chaos like a lifeline. She's going to try one last time. When she does, turn left hard. Turn left? Lila, that's the ditch. I know, she said. Turn left and she overshoots. She'll lose traction. She can't handle wet roads at high speed. How do you know? Trust me, she shouted. The car behind us surged forward. I braced myself. The final hit came like a thunderclap. Metal slammed into metal. Our car jolted violently. The world tilted sideways. Now, Mom. Lila screamed. I turned the wheel left hard. Our car skidded into the muddy ditch but stayed upright. Tires sank but held. Behind us, a sickening sound. A spin. A swerve. A crash. Then silence. Rain hammered the world like nothing had happened. I was shaking uncontrollably. Lila, oh God. Lila, she leaned across the console and held my face gently between her hands. Mom, she whispered, you saved us. I burst into tears, but Lila wasn't looking at me anymore. She was staring out the window into the storm. Mom, she said softly, voice chillingly steady, call 911. Why? She swallowed, because Melissa isn't moving. For a moment, the world stopped breathing. Rain slammed the earth, wind tore at the treetops, and the smell of wet asphalt seeped through the cracked window. But all I could hear was the uneven thud of my own pulse and Lila's quiet, controlled breathing beside me. Melissa's car sat half buried against a pine tree across the ditch. Steam curled up from under her hood. Headlights flickered like dying stars. And the silhouette inside was still, too still. Mom, Lila said again, more firmly this time, call 911. I fumbled for my phone with trembling fingers. Somehow, I dialed. Somehow, words left my mouth. There's been an accident, Cedar Ridge Road, we need help, please, someone is hurt. The dispatcher assured me units were on the way, but her voice sounded 1,000 miles away. I lowered the phone and stared at the wreckage. Lila, what if she's alive, Lila said, her tone steady but not cold. Her airbag deployed. She'll be conscious soon. But we need to stay in the car. Why? Because she's unstable. And because she's armed. I felt my throat close. I can't believe this is happening. You didn't cause it, Lila said quietly. She did. We sat in silence, listening to the drumming storm, waiting for sirens to cut through the night. When they finally did, my entire body sagged with relief. Flashing blue and red lights splashed across the road, across the trees, across the disbelief on my own face. Officers rushed toward Melissa's car. Paramedics followed. A stretcher. A flashlight beam cutting through the rain. One of the officers approached my window. Ma'am? Are you and your daughter injured? I shook my head. Just shaken. Lila nodded politely, but I could see she was analyzing every detail, every movement, every word exchanged between officers. She was creating a mental record stronger than anything written on paper. The officer lowered his voice. The woman in the other vehicle is conscious. She'll need medical care, but she's stable. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Relief and dread twisted inside me. I didn't want Melissa dead. I didn't want her hurt. I just wanted her gone from our lives. Ma'am, the officer said carefully, she was found with a loaded firearm. Do you know anything about that? I didn't answer right away, but Lila did. She threatened us. The officer glanced at her, brows raised. Threatened you? Yes, Lila said with calm precision. Multiple times. Through burner accounts. Through messages. Through photos she took without permission. She attempted to run us off the road. He blinked. Do you have proof? Lila lifted her backpack, pulled out her neatly organized binder, her tablet, and her sealed evidence folder. I have everything, she said, and in that moment, under the flashing lights, in the middle of a rainstorm, soaked and trembling, I saw something I hadn't fully understood until now. My daughter wasn't dangerous, she wasn't hardened, she wasn't broken, she was prepared. The officer took one look at the organized files, at the printed threats, at the photo of the handgun Melissa had sent, and called for a detective. It took hours to give statements. Hours of recounting the horror, reliving the spiral Melissa had fallen into. Hours of watching Lila speak with clarity and intelligence that stunned every person in the room. A detective finally pulled me aside. Your daughter, she's remarkable. And what she provided? This isn't just helpful. It's case-defining. I nodded, exhausted. She shouldn't have had to do any of it. He softened. No child should. But without her, this could have ended far worse. He paused. You should know, Melissa is being charged. Harassment. Stalking. Weapon possession during a threat. Attempted vehicular assault. She won't be out anytime soon. My legs nearly gave out from relief when we finally left the station. The storm had broken. The sky was bleeding into dawn, a bruised purple softening into gray. Lila walked beside me, small but steady, as if she carried an invisible armor she'd forged from courage and pain. I opened the car door, then hesitated. Lila? She looked up. Yes, Mom? Are you okay? She paused. Not calculating. Not analyzing, feeling. Her shoulders relaxed. Now I am. I pulled her into my arms. She melted into the hug, letting me hold her tighter than I had in weeks. I'm proud of you, I whispered. But I'm sorry you had to be strong for both of us. I wasn't strong alone, she murmured. You held the parts of me I couldn't hold. Her words hit deep. Once upon a time, I thought my job as a mother was to keep her innocent. To shield her. To make life soft around the edges. But life had ripped that dream apart, and she had stitched something new in its place, not innocence, but insight. Not fragility, but wisdom. We drove home in silence, the sky brightening by the minute. A new day. A new beginning. When we reached the house, Lila placed a small hand on mine. Mom? Yes, sweetheart? It's over. And for the first time in months, I believed her. In the weeks that followed, our lives didn't magically return to normal. They rebuilt themselves into something stronger. Lila testified with bravery that shook seasoned officers. Melissa faced consequences she'd evaded for years. Daniel disappeared from the narrative entirely, swallowed by his own choices. And me? I learned the most unexpected lesson of my 55 years. Strength doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it sits quietly beside you in a 12-year-old child who refuses to break. I learned that protecting your family doesn't always mean shielding them. It sometimes means standing beside them while they fight their own battles, even when their courage terrifies you. I learned that trauma can turn into awareness. Awareness can turn into action. And action, when rooted in truth, can transform the future. But the biggest lesson: silence enables harm, knowledge prevents it, and vigilance protects what love cannot. If this story pulled your heart the way it ripped through mine, don't leave yet. Because somewhere out there, another mother is replaying late-night threats, another child is quietly carrying too much, and another family is fighting a battle no one sees. If you believe every child deserves safety, every woman deserves a voice, and every truth deserves daylight, then stay with us. Hit subscribe. Turn on notifications. Share this story so someone else finds the courage to protect their family before the danger arrives. Your support helps more people break the silence and rebuild their lives in the light.